What's up, Legion? This is I Still Call It a Lariat. We're a pro wrestling podcast. With me, as always, is my boy Hound. Hound, this is a historic episode. Do you know that? This is historic. This is officially episode number 50 of the show. Episode 50.
Wow. And I am honored to be here. It's also historic because this is a historic day for me. Today marks me breaking my long-running consecutive days alive streak.
Oh my God.
Hopefully I break it tomorrow.
I hope so. I need you for next week, too.
But, it's great to be here, man. Good to see your face. Good to hear your voice. And that's probably one of the only times you'll have me say that to you.
I mean, that makes sense. I mean, I kind of hate my own face and my own voice. So, real quick, before we get into some of our serious stuff, I guess, some of our wrestling stuff, I want to throw a big shout out to some of the people that have helped with the show over the course of these 50 episodes, because we couldn't keep doing this without people helping us out, obviously. Hound, Hound, you and Showtime, obviously, because I couldn't keep doing this show without you guys helping out and co-hosting with me. S. Scarps Esquire, I know you are out there somewhere, probably going to listen to this. Yes, I'm even going to shout you out, even though we don't know where you've gone. We miss you so. Mr. Brock from Twin Cities Double Up Now and originally from Coal Mine. Man, you were the first other podcast that really started following us and brought us on to your show. So thank you. Lindsay Jordan from over in the UK. Lindsay, I love you so much. Thank you for helping us out and helping us get a UK contingent in with the show. And recently, Aaron Pitts from the University of Texas at El Paso. Again, I met him at my shoot job, and he was nice enough to recommend us to a couple different people as well. Anyone who and I know I'm going to forget people, so anyone who has listened, who has commented, who has followed, that has stuck it out, the entire Legion, thank you guys. We appreciate you. And if we don't say it enough, we do appreciate everything that you have done for the show and just being here. I mean, this is a real stat. Most podcasts don't last more than 3 episodes, and very literally half of them don't last past 10. And we're up to 50, not counting our bonus episodes or our previews and reviews, just our weekly episodes. We are at 50, and that is insane to me to think that we made it this far.
Well, I am honored to be a part of it. For anybody out in the Legion, I'm sure you've heard, but in case you haven't, Steve and I are lifelong friends, and same goes for Steve and Showtime. I met Showtime a couple years after meeting Steve, and we've been friends ever since. So quite factually, more than half my life, I have been friends with one Steven Zapf, and close to half my life, one Michael Showtime Wright. I'm blessed to have you guys in my life. As much as we break each other's chops and everything else, we've all been there for each other through the highs, through the lows. We've celebrated weddings together. We've consoled each other when, unfortunately, family members have passed and things like that. And it's true friendship. And anybody out there listening, we hope we bring you some kind of joy. We hope it brightens your day. And the thing I hope most is that something that we say makes you facepalm and you go, duh. Ugh, those idiots. And
these morons. Because that's how we feel about ourselves, usually.
Exactly.
Listen, we love doing this show, too. It's a lot of fun. This is one of the best parts of my week, honestly, is getting to talk wrestling with you idiots. So, and as I say to most people, if you don't like pro wrestling, it's 3 guys from New Jersey making fun of each other. And by making fun of each other, I mean mostly making fun of me.
I mean, you're not wrong, but enough with the sentimental, emotional crap. We're big, strong, tough men, right?
All right, guys, real quick, we're gonna get into our nonprofits that we support and promote. First off, as always, is Tap Cancer Out, a series of jiu-jitsu tournaments that help out with Alex's Lemonade Stand, American Brain Tumor Association, Isabel Santos Foundation, Little Pink Houses of Hope, Camp Sunshine, Christopher's Haven, the Sidney Kimmel Comprehensive Cancer Center at Johns Hopkins, CureCervicalCancer.org, First Ascent, and of course, here it comes, guys, Tom Coughlin's J Fun. Give it to me, huh? Give it to me.
J Fun.
Yes. The other one that we have been promoting
That's
is
fun.
the American Red Cross's Disaster Relief Fund, which helps out with varying hurricanes and varied disasters at this point. Again, this one is huge after the devastation between Milton and Helene throughout the East Coast and all throughout even Lake Georgia and stuff like that. Guys, if you can help out even a little bit, and again, some of this is helping out with your time. If you can volunteer and stuff like that, that is huge for some of these causes. And the third one that we are, of course, always pushing towards now is Chris Bay's GoFundMe. Again, I know I say it on every episode, but if any of you don't know what happened, Chris Bay was performing a springboard cutter, landed poorly, and had to be rushed for emergency neck surgery. Chris Bay is a phenomenal performer. I have not heard anyone in the wrestling business who does not get along with this guy. Everyone is pushing for him to have a speedy recovery, obviously. And I know it's not just his in-ring stuff. He does stuff with music. I believe he's actually, his own theme music is done by him. So he is a very, very talented man, and we hope that he can grace us in the ring once again. I know us as a show, we champion TNA a lot, and ABC on TNA is the tag team is one of our favorite parts of it. So Chris Bay, please, I hope for a speedy recovery for you. But with that said, Hound Dog, you ready to talk some wrestling? Some wrestling?
There's a vicious rumor that that's what we're here to do.
I've heard that's what this podcast is about. I think I started the rumor. I'm the one who started the podcast, so I think I started the rumor. But first up, we get this past week's episode of NXT. They are back in the Performance Center. This is obviously in Orlando, Florida. I actually like that they started showing more shots of Orlando for this, making it seem like this was a destination show in and of itself, even though this was obviously the Performance Center. So little things like that, I kind of like that the new WWE production value just in general does. What do you think, Hound?
That's a good little nod too, because for many, many years, every NXT show outside of a takeover was in the Performance Center, and the only thing you'd see was a shot of the Full Sail sign, and which is cool and everything else, promoting that school, but making it seem like this is not just home base, but home base having some gravitas, if you will. So it's a really good move. It's clever, and I'm sure it didn't take much to do that. There's anybody who doesn't know, Orlando is 100% a tourist trap. You can get a billion shots of a billion things and make you want to go take my money. So yes. It's a good move.
I live here. I know. Everything's 20 minutes away.
One Orlando away.
So the show opened up with Nathan Frazier from Frexium. Yes, I will forever call it that. Versus Eddie Thorpe in an Iron Survivor qualifier. I've liked Eddie Thorpe since he was in Japan. He was a young boy in Japan, and they brought him in. I believe he is Carl Fredericks in Japan. And I believe that's his real name. He's very good, and I would like them. I know it is his heritage, and I like that they kind of add a little bit of the Native American touch to his entrance, but then he kind of goes into the other side of his life, which when he's not wrestling, he's an actual DJ that like works like shows and stuff like that. So he does a little bit more. I thought this match was good. My only issue with the match in general is it was so clearly more about the tag team story that they're trying to tell. The fact that all these teams are just trying to kill each other to get to Frazier and Axiom. I thought it pulled away from the match itself, which should have been a good match.
Yeah, nothing was wrong with the match itself. Like if we were to take away all of the other outside interference, if you want to call it that, just anything outside of the match itself was fine. The match itself was fine for an opening match, had enough electricity, enough stuff to kind of get people to the edge of their seat, get a couple jumps up out of the seat. They definitely had the crowd. And yeah, you muddied the water at the end. I don't have a problem with that being a vehicle for the chaos in the tag team division. I have a problem with kind of how they're handling the chaos, because the fact that the finish to the match happened because of the chaos, had they just thrown it all out and been like that, I think it would have landed better for me. And on top of it, when all that was going on, it seemed like everybody had happy feet, if you will. And
Yep.
I actually got very worried for, my gosh, I'm drawing a blank. Nathan Frazier's opponent, forgive me for forgetting his name
Eddie
right
Thorpe.
now. Eddie Thorpe. When he took that Phoenix Splash, the way that Frazier came down, I watched it back and I was like, okay, he's all right. But it looked like he landed knee first on his forehead, like with the way the angle came down. So I was like, holy crap, please be okay. So, yeah. But it's I think there was just too much going on, and everybody got happy feet because they were trying to think 32 high spots ahead.
I completely agree. I don't know how I feel about Nathan Frazier. Like as far as his in-ring, like I don't dislike his in-ring work, but I don't know where I stand with him. Like even, and I like Axiom. I Axiom as a person, I actually know him. I've trained with him. For those of you who don't know, he wrestled in NXT UK. He was, if I don't want to reveal too much and break kayfabe, but he is a different wrestling persona, just so you know. But he's like, I like, I don't know. I don't know if I dislike this team or I like this team. I just, everything about what they're doing, it's very, something about Nathan Frazier just makes me go meh.
So I know precisely what you're saying, and it's not that I feel the same way. It's from knowing you. It really is. It's just his style does not hit enough of the check marks on the box where you're like, okay, I'm into that style. But he's not missing by much. Like if you had 10 and you need 5 or 6 to be like, all right, I'm with him, he's hitting 3 or 4. That's really all it is. He's like, it's like, I mean, I won't turn away, but I'm not excited about it. And I really think that's all it is. I mean, he's not the best worker in the world, but he's safe. He's athletic. He's got the right look. So he checks a lot of the boxes, but I totally see what you're going for. I think he would be better served if he wasn't an NXT in like a AAA.
Okay, I can see that. Yeah, or I think he might do good in Japan too. I just, I don't know. There's just something I can't, like you said, I can't put my finger on it. Maybe he's just not checking enough of my boxes.
Yeah, it's kind
all
of
about checking boxes.
It is. It's an oil and water thing, and it's sometimes it just doesn't mix, and just not the right mix between your tastes and what he provides.
Yeah, and again, different flavors of ice cream, right? Like everybody, like there's always a flavor for somebody, and maybe people are all into him. I just can't seem to. I like I said, I can't put it into words why he's just not my flavor, but it just doesn't. Like, and I love his tag team partner. That's the craziest part about it.
He's your rum raisin.
He is my rum raisin. Oh, nice. Well put. Well put there.
I got you, buddy.
So we, Jesus Christ. Now I'm going to think about him being my rum raisin forever. This is all your fault.
You're welcome.
So we get a Chase U segment right after this. They kind of go over all of Chase U's past accomplishments. Not to spoil the ending, but if Chase U is to die tonight or on this show, I think Thea Hale is going to be the one who like truly like comes out the better for this. She's kind of stuck in this one-dimensional character, and I'd like her to get out of it a little bit. I'd like to, like, I thought when she was doing the stuff with JC Jane, it made her that much more interesting, and then she just reverted back to Chase U Thea Hale stuff.
Yeah, I definitely see where you're going with that, and that gave me pause for a second. So kind of how there's like two ways to look at it. As everybody knows, what creates a diamond is pressure. And so you could say that she was kind of being squeezed into this mold, which has to happen when somebody has a real shot. You kind of have to be placed into a mold and squeezed till you break the mold. Pressure to a diamond, same kind of thing there. But at the same point, while some of that is true, it was comfort. And I think she was afraid to step out of her comfort zone. There, she was safe.
I truly believe that. I think this is one of those that she's very talented, but we need her to start getting out of her comfort zone. I think Chase U is comfort, and I that's actually exactly how I was going to put it. Is we need her outside of her comfort zone to get the best version of her.
Yeah, and the whole Chase U segment with them showing the past accomplishments and everything. Like, I'm not going to bury the lead or spoil here, but anybody who's just turning that on, especially because they preempted it by saying, like, could this all go away? And you're showing it. It's like, well, yeah.
That's the whole point of this match, isn't it?
It's like they buried their lead. It was too obvious because of that. Like, and no suspension of disbelief.
Exactly. And you and I have been kind of over Chase U just in general.
Yeah.
For a while. I think going into this match, this was we were hoping for an outcome that made us happy at least. You get a quick backstage with Kehlani Jordan, which is going to set up her versus Julia next week in an Iron Survivor Challenge. I'm actually looking forward to that match. I think that'll be a hell of a match, actually. Kehlani Jordan can probably stand as athletic and as prodigious her talent is. I think she could use some Julia in her life.
This is, and I've referenced it before, this is her moment to have the Shelton Benjamin, Shawn Michaels moment. Now,
I definitely think so.
If we were doing a prediction for it, I don't think there's a world where Julia loses here. But I think this is gonna do potentially two things. One, it's going to raise Kehlani Jordan's stock to where now you put her and say, okay, maybe she's not number one in line to be a challenger, but if she's challenging for the big title, it's not out of the realm of possibility now. Like, it makes sense, not just we need a filler feud. And two, this is her chance to show her she can go with arguably the best on the planet.
I mean, I feel like the best is either her or Stephanie, right? Like it's
or Roxanne.
They've been or Roxanne, but like honestly, the women's division, the NXT women's division has been impressing me. The TNA women's division has been impressing me. Like I'm really happy with these two women's divisions. Which it's funny because I'm really disappointed with the big companies' women's divisions.
Yeah,
and like these guys are like NXT quite often. I mean, even on this card, half this show is the women's division, and I'm not mad about this whatsoever.
So in a weird way, like I'm glad they don't do the like intergender matches like they do on the indies and stuff. Granted, although it makes sense when Jordan Grace tosses somebody around because she's a goddamn Sherman tank.
She can throw you.
Yeah, she might be. She could definitely squat me, but I don't know about throw me.
I've seen it.
Yeah, I've seen it. But
this is I saw it.
But they I think there's some remnants of the old still lying around in the big company, and it's almost like it's the women's division isn't looked at as the women's division. It's just another division. And I think there's that. It helps it present it more as not so much like we'll call it a special attraction like how it used to be for that, but it's just people out there wrestling. And I think it gives the women confidence to go out there and show what they can do, because they have some of the absolute. I've championed the Sasha Banks Bayley match that we saw in Brooklyn together how many times on here. And you know what? The women
every week.
With what the women are doing now in NXT and stuff, it's like the torch was passed and somebody's finally running with it.
I absolutely agree with that. And speaking of the torch being passed, let's move on to the next women's Iron Survivor qualifier, and that was Jada Parker versus Stephanie Vaquer. I don't care if I'm saying it wrong, Hound. That's how I say it.
I don't know. It could be Vaquer. It could be Vaquer. I don't know. Either way. I don't know. It's Stephanie. She is awesome. Vikur.
Yes, it's Stephanie Awesome. Her name is
Yes.
Stephanie Awesome now.
Yes,
so Steph Awesome.
She is not Fala Ikaleva.
No. This match was really good. The only, I guess, and again, this is a critique I have on a lot of the ladies that have been performing, and it's not a real critique. It's just my eye notices inexperience. And it's something for Jada where it makes me happy because this shows me how much more she can move up in the world. Like, again, like I said, it's not a real critique. It's just, she is a bit inexperienced. She was brought in, I believe, as an NIL. She comes in from that real athlete realm, but she's taking it so seriously that it gives you Bianca Belair vibes.
Yeah, I see where you're going with that.
Where like, hey, this wasn't your first choice. This wasn't what you thought it was going to be, but you're coming in here so strong and so hot and so serious, and you're going to put your all into it, that there's no way that this isn't going to work. I see it with Jada, and obviously Steph is amazing. What did you think of this match? And before I get too far in.
The match itself was really good. Jada Parker showed that she can go. She showed her inexperience. She showed the raw talent that's there that definitely needs refining. The only thing, and we spoke about this briefly before this, and this is where you showed the inexperience, and this is a huge praise to Stephanie. So when the finish came, when Stephanie went over, and she did, I don't know what her finishing move is called.
I have no idea what it's called. I just have it written down here as a package neck breaker.
Something to that extent. So it looked like they were a quarter second off. And it's one of those where somebody could easily get dropped on their head. And now Jada Parker is a heavier girl than Stephanie when you look at them. And the fact that Stephanie was able to protect her and not drop her, she is so much more physically strong than I realized. And she's so conscientious of what's happening in the ring right then. So she really protected Jada, and I think that Jada's only going to grow from that. So, and you and I have been in matches, and we've had those moments. You get in the back, and it's eating you up, where you're just like, oh my God, I almost hurt somebody. I almost did this. What if this didn't happen? And it's kind of good that Jada has that moment. Like, pardon my French, but when I was teaching my daughter to ride a bike, and I told her, I'm like, it's important that you fall down and you take a shit whipping. And we'll call that her first shit whipping. And she gets to walk away from it and learn. And I promise you, 95 out of 100 times going forward, she won't make that mistake. She won't get as jumpy and in front of herself, because I think it was just a timing issue.
So, Hound, I'm going to bring this question up because it kind of falls into this match. I definitely wanted to bring this up. It doesn't kind of affect this match as much, but it definitely kind of falls into the next match a bit. The Tony D'Angelo Brooks Jensen match, which I thought overall was a relatively okay match. By the way, at the end of this match, Stephanie ends up winning it, as if anyone hasn't deduced that from this. Lola Vice shows up with a brick in her hand to kind of distract Jada, and that's how we lead to the finish. This is something I've been noticing more and more, that we don't see it as much, and I definitely miss it. Now, the Jada Parker Steph match, it's not really the style with those two, but even with the Tony D'Angelo Brooks Jensen match, which this is definitely the match that I feel like we don't see enough good old fashioned face to heel fire up bump and feed stuff anymore.
Yeah. 100%.
And maybe I'm just the old guy here, but I kind of miss stuff like that. It's a really easy way to build up a baby face, right? I just don't understand why I feel like fire ups now are just moves. They're just moves. And with that bump and feed, it's always, I feel like that's building the crowd, and we don't see it as much anymore.
Well, it's the biggest thing, and I may have mentioned it on an earlier episode here. We have to remember that, you and I essentially have kind of aged out. We're the old guys now. And where
You're the old guy.
I mean, I am older than you, yes, but you're basically there too, sir. We're both, we're both. Physically, I'm 43. Mentally, I'm 12. My body died in World War I, kind of thing is where I'm at.
Yes.
But,
that extra year gives me World War II. Perfect.
But so think about the fact of how everything has changed. And I guess I want to say it's almost like the TikTok kids are coming in now. It's the attention span of a goldfish. So it has to be move to move to move. People have been so used to a constant drip feed of, going on social media, dopamine hit, dopamine hit, dopamine hit, things like that. So it has to be that, where the reason why it resonated so well for you right there, man, is because why did Hogan hulking up do it for us every time? Because it's the crescendo, it's the build to the big crescendo. And it is something that is missed, and everything old becomes new again. So I'm hoping we're going to get away from a bit of the spot monkey stuff, and we're going to start heading back towards that, because there is a very, very happy medium. I don't need it going back to an entire match as a headlock and a hammerlock and arm drag, and then, a nerve hold with an ask a him ref. I don't need that whole match.
Yes. But like, that's the thing is like that, like, so that's why I brought up Tony D'Angelo versus Brooks Jensen. I felt like this would have been a really nice spot for this. Like, they kind of, if you look, Tony D kind of does it a little bit. Also, Brooks Jensen has some nice strength in this. I always forget that not just is he a second generation wrestler, he's a Bull Buchanan's kid.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, I always forget who his dad is, and I remember like I looked it up specifically for this episode because I was like, man, I know he's I know he's a second generation guy, and I always forget who it is. Like I'm always like, it's someone like that, like a Buchanan or like a Tyson Tomko type guy, and I'm like, oh, that's right, it's Bull Buchanan, which again, his training comes from his father. And honestly, Brooks Jensen kind of has like the coolest counter to a spine buster ever, with like he hits like a code breaker for it.
Yeah.
And it was really cool. Like I said, this match is clean, and I don't really have any complaints about it. It's just like, I think instead of like, you'd be able to see some more bump and feed stuff in this match specifically. Like, this is the match that it fits in.
Yeah, and well, Tony D'Angelo is a throwback. So he's really
absolutely a throwback.
He should lean into it. I mean, I will say I was not in on the whole Tony D'Angelo thing. Like, I was like, yeah, he's got the look, he's good, but just that kind of not my thing. It is what it is, like checking boxes, like I said earlier. I have slowly but surely been getting pulled into Camp D'Angelo, and I am happy for it. And it's not just because I'm a guinea from New Jersey.
It's completely why. You're part of the D'Angelo family. You can tell me the truth. You gave some cement boots to somebody. Tell me the truth.
I'm not wearing a wire. Don't worry.
This is not being recorded.
Good.
Like I said, a good clean match. I have nothing to complain about this match. It definitely, I like that at the end of it, we had the Brooks Jensen attacking his knee, giving the chop block, and we get more movement on Tony D'Angelo versus Shawn Spears. I honestly wouldn't mind seeing Shawn Spears winning this title. Like this, I think that would be really cool. I'd like to see Shawn Spears finally get some of the flowers he deserves. Get a titles, get some bigger push type stuff. But
I see where you're going with that, man. And the Spears D'Angelo thing is building nicely. And
yes.
But here's the thing though. It's building nicely, but I have a feeling that when it comes time for this thing to pay off, I think they're walking a thin line here. This thing could land real flat. I'm hoping it doesn't, because I don't think it will, because I think everybody's going to be shocked when they see Spears and D'Angelo go do their thing together.
I'm willing to bet they have a really good match, actually.
Yeah.
Just my thought process.
100%.
The next segment is a mixed tag team match. This is Dion Lennox and Brindley Reese versus Ashante the Adonis and Carmen Petrovich. Um, the match wasn't bad. The men really shined in this match. I've been thinking this for weeks, and we haven't got a chance to really report on any of Dion Lennox's matches. But Dion Lennox, not just his look, but just in general, reminds me of Jason Jordan.
I'm glad you said that because I was going. He reminds me of somebody I couldn't place it.
He's Jason Jordan. He's got that amateur athlete pedigree. He was, what was it? They said he was a football player for Oregon State. So, but he's got the same look. He's got the same build. He's wearing similar gear to what Jason Jordan used to wear. Like, he looks like Jason Jordan and he moves like Jason Jordan. And he has that high drop kick and stuff like that I look for. He needs some polish.
100%. And they need to not do a gimmick where he's Kurt Angle's son. Like,
no, never.
Let's not have the Jason Jordan comparison get that far.
Yeah, like I don't want to find out that he's like some football player's son now, because like that's the gimmick. Like, please don't bring Gronk back to the WWE and you find out he's actually Gronk's kid.
So we were just talking about the throwback stuff, and this plays into the match. The finish of the match, that tickled me because it was an old trope and they did it in reverse. How many matches when we were growing up did you have the female manager get up on the thing and acts like she's flirting with the guy and this, that, and the third, and and that leads to the guy losing because she's protecting the heel. The fact that it was Shante the Adonis asking for a kiss on the cheek, and girl smacks the taste out of his mouth to lead right to her losing. It brought me back to being younger. I was like, that was a chef's kiss moment to me. I loved it.
I thought, like you said, I thought this match was really good. I thought I didn't realize how good Ashante was as a worker.
Yeah.
And like I had to look up his background. He's a Maryland Championship Wrestling guy. He's from New Jersey. He's a wrestler. He's actually a pro wrestler. Like, I thought I honestly, because I hadn't seen much of him before this, and I hadn't seen much of him other than when he was with Hit Row, which he was with like the diet version of Hit Row. He was like, I was like, oh, he's just another NIL athlete. And then I come to find out that's not who he is at all. He's like, he throws a nice, again, both these guys throw beautiful drop kicks. They had really good work. I thought, like I said, I thought the men shined. And unfortunately with this, because of their inexperience, the women had to be in the background a little bit. Again, this is an inexperienced thing. And I thought the guys need to go out there and do what they did.
Yeah, you're right about the experience thing. And the reason why it's going to show such a stark contrast is because I fully believe if you're going to go with the mixed tag matches, you have to get people of similar experience levels, because you are really, like, you're creating a chasm through the whole match. And it's not that the girls did poorly. It's just the guys did phenomenal.
Exactly.
And if you're going to like that's why I'm really keyed in on the finish there. And I'm glad they did that way. But other than that, though, you didn't do the girls any favors, and they didn't do anything wrong.
No, they didn't do anything wrong. Like you said, I'm not trying to critique them much on what they did. They just didn't do anything wrong. Moving on to a match that did everything right as far as I'm concerned. This is another Iron Survivor qualifier. This is Ren Sinclair versus Russian Australia Overwatch Muscle Mommy. Also known as Zarya. So literally the first note I have written before this match starts is, will Ren impress me again this week? By the way, the answer is yes, she does. Ren Sinclair impresses the hell out of me every single time she wrestles. Every time she steps in that ring, every time they do a backstage promo segment with her, she impresses me. This girl is a star, and I can't wait to see her be a bigger star.
Yeah, honestly, who she is? She's the next Roxanne.
I could see that. Honestly, you know who I have her, who I actually have her being the next of, though? Natalia.
Yes, and I'm not saying more just for the style. I'm talking Roxanne is called the Prodigy, and she lives up to it. So Ren Sinclair could also be called the Prodigy because she's unbelievable.
I fully agree with that. What I'm saying though is I could see Ren Sinclair eventually being how Natalia is like that gatekeeper.
Yeah.
Women's wrestler. I could see Ren Sinclair being that. Like, hey, you need to go work with Ren before we give you this program.
Yeah, the same thing like Jake Roberts, like that.
Jake Roberts, yeah.
Well, a lot of people might look at that and be like, "Oh, so what? They're just going to have her lose eventually all the time." I will tell you, like, if I had made it big, I would have coveted that position to be the measuring stick to say, "Okay, you're ready for the big time." My God, to me, that's the highest honor that can be paid outside of, "Okay, we're giving you the flagship title. You're our face."
And I mean, she does. Sinclair does such a good job of making Zarya look good. This is a good match. Ren doesn't look weak in it. Like again, this is a really good match, and I'm again my only knock in general, and I get it that it fits Zarya. Overwatch Muscle Mommy, Russian Australian Overwatch Muscle Mommy. She falls into this group of wrestlers that I now have that I really wish a bunch of them would stop using the spear. I'm tired of seeing the spear, in all honesty. It's one of those things, it's becoming a super kick. It's becoming the tope suicida. It's, if you're a power wrestler, now you do the spear, apparently. That's what that is.
I see what you're saying. And the reason I'm laughing is because, well, I mean, the problem is none of them are using a gore.
It's what, so yeah.
But it's
yes, that is my issue with it.
No, but it is overused. I mean, it's when Goldberg originally did it back in the day, it was devastating because it was like, oh my God, like, and then
it was different.
It was Mongo McMichael was using something similar, but it was like he was chop blocking though. And then, I mean, we're to the point now where I'm sorry, but I'm pretty sure that if I chose to no sell a Jey Uso spear, he would bounce off of me, kind of thing. Like, and it is overused. Yeah, there was a time when it was devastating. That time is long gone.
That's what I'm saying is, if you're not Edge, Adam Copeland, if you're not, honestly, I have, and like, I'm not saying Bobby Lashley stop using the spear. That's not where I'm at in the world.
Yeah.
But like, and I'm not saying Moose to stop using his spear, but like, there's a difference. First of all, they're also using him as finishers for the most part. Edge uses his as a finisher. Adam Copeland, whatever you want to call him.
Roman.
Edge. Roman uses his as a finisher. All these people who are using it as a setup, it actually, and like you could say it's because they're not as big, or they're not, how Edge does it was a cut in half finisher. Like, I don't know. I think I'm just tired of seeing the spear used multiple times on the show.
Yeah, you know what? It's like you said, it's the super kick thing. And there was a time when I thought the V trigger was the coolest damn thing in the world until Kenny Omega did 97 in a row. And it's like, I'm sorry, but no human would survive that.
I agree.
So, and same thing here. Like, it's time to let that go. Let the folks who it's a part of their repertoire and has been long-standing. You can come up with something else. To me, it's almost like you're unoriginal at this point.
That's what I'm saying. It's like I said, even like Braun Breaker, I wish he would just, instead of using that super spear like he does it, I kind of wish he was using it as a lariat. If he did the run back and forth and nailed the lariat instead, oh my God, and his size and everything, I think that works.
Yeah, I wish he was doing that. And you know what? Truthfully, I wish Braun Breaker was using for a finish. And I had mentioned Goldberg earlier. Do you remember all the variations that Goldberg did from a gorilla press into dropping to some kind of power slam, to the shoulder, to the catch, to this? Braun Breaker is so athletic and so explosive and so strong. He could come up with a very, very interesting and unique one, and I believe he could do it to any member of the Bloodline. He's so goddamn strong. And
I absolutely agree.
I think Braun Breaker should do that because just the visual of that, because he's already everything you want in a pro wrestler. Now just have him have that Hercules moment. You know exactly what I'm saying about with the visual there.
Well, the Goldberg jackhammering the Giant.
Yeah.
But let's get off our rant.
Yes.
We do this. let's move on. We get Fatal Influence doing an in-ring promo, and Fallon Henley opens up a challenge for next week. And again, this is another chaos moment. The locker room literally clears out, and everyone kind of fights to the back at this point. And Fallon's left in the ring by herself, and Tatum Paxley comes out and ends up getting a shot in and kind of cements her being the one that's going to take the shot against Fallon Henley next week. Her finisher is really cool. It was different.
That's the same thought I had about it, because when she was setting it up, I was like, uh-oh, this looks awkward. And then she did the thing, and I was like, I am a fan, do again now.
Yeah, it was way smoother than I thought it was going to be, right?
Yeah.
It was really, really cool.
You talk about having the eye for it, and you know precisely what I'm saying. Right at the start, I was like, uh-oh, what is this? But exactly. Spectacular. I'll take 39 more right now.
Well, that's so it's funny because it seemed very similar to what Lash Legend does for a finish.
Yeah.
And Lash's just doesn't look smooth, and Tatum's went smooth, and I was like, okay, cool, yeah, let's keep having that.
Yep.
But we go right from that, we get a Chase U possible final goodbye, and then the main event. Andre Chase versus Ridge Holland with the number one contendership hanging in the balance. And if Ridge Holland wins, Chase U is no longer, at least Chase U as we know it. No more MVP, no more Thea Hale, none of those guys.
Oh.
All right.
The accreditation board came a calling.
No more South Harmon Institute of Technology. Listen, Ridge Holland is a presence. He looks like a beast. Andre Chase kind of looks like your annoying uncle at a barbecue that used to be good at basketball.
He's the uncle in Napoleon Dynamite.
Yeah, he's Uncle Rico. Or what was it's a really old Damon Wayans movie with him and what's his face from Home Alone, where it's, and Dan Aykroyd, where they're he's playing the Celtics and they kidnap him. But
oh my god,
you know what I'm talking about, right? Yes. It's you're in Beantown now, baby, Beantown. He reminds me of him.
Having said all that, I will say this about the match. It was so much better than I thought it was going to be.
I thought the match was really good.
It had no right being that good.
No, and it had some really good high points. I love how violent Ridge Holland is.
Yeah.
And the simplicity of his violence.
Yep.
Again, you don't always need to do crazy stuff to make it violent. You just have to make it violent.
Well, I mean, look at Ridge Holland. You know, I spent years as a bouncer, and if I had to go remove him, I was like, okay, well, let's gear up.
You might need Diesel.
Yeah, all right, here we go. Yes, 3 more of you come with me now, kind of thing. But that's what it is. He's a bruiser. I mean, even his finisher, it's simple, but you're just like, oh, no, please don't do that to me.
So we end up getting Ridge winning this. He's the number one contender. Chase U is no more. You're left with this scene of them all just laid out. And even Trick Williams is sitting there surprised by the end of it. And honestly, if Ridge Holland ends up winning the NXT title, I might not be too mad about this.
Me either. And when Trick Williams' face, it made me laugh because I was like, I hope the thought is, damn, I was 2 classes away from my degree.
Man, now I gotta go back to Phoenix University because they give you the tools to be your own boss. Wait, that's Enterprise. My bad.
It's a little too close to home. My degree's from there.
Jesus Christ. Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry. I didn't mean for shots fired on that one.
Dude, you're good. Listen, man, it landed me a big boy job. I get to pretend I know what I'm talking about sometimes.
Sometimes. And then we're on here and we pretend like we know what we're talking about all the time. So we don't.
My life is one constant pretend. I pretend to be competent.
Fake it till you make it. All right, but guys, that was NXT this week. Again, good show. They're not having bad shows whatsoever. I give this one probably, like, if we're giving it a letter grade, this is a solid B- show.
Yeah, and
it was a good show. It didn't do anything wrong. Stephanie Vicker and what was it? Stephanie Vicker and Jada delivered. Ren and Zarya delivered for me. Again, these matches deliver. There was nothing wrong with what we were seeing, and there was some comedy in there and stuff like that, but it wasn't misplaced. It wasn't bad comedy. But
yeah,
let's go.
It's palate cleanse still. We're still in palate cleanse.
We're still in palate cleanse land. With that said, let's go over to AEW and their go home show, their go home Dynamite before their pay-per-view Full Gear. Yes, I'm counting this as their go home show because I'm not counting Rampage. Sorry, guys. That's where we're at in the world. There was no Collision this week because of the pay-per-view being on a Saturday. And the show opens with an 8-man tag team match between... There's going to be a bit here. Give me a second to roll. We got Ricochet, we got Powerhouse Hobbs, we got Will Ospreay, and Mark Davis versus Konosuke Takeshita, Kyle Fletcher, Lance Archer, and Brian Cage. I got them all. The first thing I want to say, Powerhouse Hobbs gear looks awesome. I love that silver and blue motif that he's got going. It might be a little bit too Ice Train for the old school wrestling fan. Old school Teddy Long protege, but I love this. Like, I love that gear that he had on. You know whose gear I did not love was Mark Davis's. Mark Davis hasn't wrestled in almost 2 years, and it looks like it. He came in, he looked slow, man. And again, we can say ring rust, but like, you can tell he didn't get any reps in before this match ever happened.
Yeah, because on paper, when you see those 8 names together, you're thinking you have 8 superhumans.
Except for...
And now Mark Davis just didn't live up to that. That's all it was.
No, like, you've got 7 superhumans and Mark Davis, unfortunately.
Yes.
Because still, I don't care how often each week he comes out, that AEW crowd still doesn't know who Mark Davis is.
Yeah. And it's a shame, too, because he's actually really good. You can tell it's... I think, and this is just pure speculation, I think he kind of half fell out of love with the business and is starting to get it back a little bit.
I could see that. Like, this seems like he left slightly off of injury.
Yeah.
And then was happy being not there. And then was like, oh, like, all my best friends are doing stuff together. Like, maybe I should get back into this. And was, like, missing it.
Yeah.
Hobbs looked great. Ricochet looked like Ricochet. Ospreay looked pretty good. I'm never mad about Takeshita. I really like that Brian Cage is toning down his look.
Yeah.
He's got the all black gear. He's got the full beard now instead of the Wolverine mutton chops. I really like that. It gives him like a grittier look, which is kind of what I think he needs. Rick Knox is the referee for this, which means that there will be no rules. No one ever tagged. No one ever did anything like that. The babyfaces started off this match with a jump start as they attacked the heels on the rampway. So this match is just kind of chaos already. But I wanted to, I'm really excited for Fletcher versus Ospreay. This match, they did a real good, they had some real good pacing between those two when they got involved with each other. And Hound, I wanted to ask you, what do you think of Fletcher lately? Because I think he's continuing to be a standout performer.
Kyle Fletcher has every physical tool you're looking for in a superstar. And he will, and I say physical, he will get the promo work and everything else. That will come over time. He's still very young. But
Very
the
young.
whole the head shave, he's a big dude. He's in the kind of shape any of us would kill to be in. You know, he's whether you like tattoos or not, he's got the sleeve tattoo going and it looks good on him. And he appears menacing and he's leaning into it. And I think a lot of that, I think Ospreay is really guiding him along. And I think because it's Ospreay, there's a level of comfortability there where he knows that if he did slightly put a foot at a place, Will's still going to be there, good enough to protect him. And I think right now for that, this is the perfect kind of breakout for Kyle Fletcher. You're building him the right way. You know, you're giving him a giant crash pad to land on. And that's really smart because you're staring at somebody who in 5 years, you and I could be talking about somebody who's like top of the mountain good.
I absolutely agree with that. I think, like I said, and I think when we're saying he needs improvement on his promos and stuff like that, he's not cutting a bad promo. It can just get better. And he's 25 years old. It's going to get better. Everything about him is going to get better. And that, again, once again, not to bury the lead too much on this one, or like we're talking a couple years down the road, but Kyle Fletcher is the type of guy that they can build the future of this company around. And at the end of the day, if and when he becomes an AEW world champion, I'm not going to be mad about it.
If they do this right, and this is the thing, and this is why I'm really hoping they do this right, you can have him be a viable threat for a Lashley as a champion, a real contender for a Moxley as a champion, a contender for MJF as champion. You know, any of those folks who legitimately, where it's like it's going to take a Herculean effort to get that belt from them, it makes sense with Fletcher.
So I'm going to throw this name out there for Fletcher. Randy Orton.
I was thinking the same thing. I almost used the line, what is it, that JR would say if you had to no, I'm sorry, it was JBL. If you had to build a professional wrestler in a lab, you would create Randy Orton or Kyle Fletcher.
Yeah. He's a little smaller than Orton was when he first came in. Lighter wise, I think he's about the same height, but he's a similar build, and he's still and again when he first a year or two ago, he still had a little bit of baby fat left on him, and he's trimmed all of that off. He's doing great work. Another guy that I think is doing great work that was involved in this match is Powerhouse Hobbs.
Yep.
And I think I threw this to you last week, and I'm going to throw it to you again. Look, we love watching big dudes go at it. Hobbs versus Takeshita would be a great time.
Yes, Hobbs and Takeshita would be great because, first of all, they're going to hit each other really hard, and that's going to scratch an itch in my brain. Because if I was still going in the ring, I would want to be in there with people like a Gunther, like a Powerhouse Hobbs, Takeshita. I'm still coming for you. But
coming for you.
Oh, it just makes me so happy to say that. It's so silly. But it's
Konosuke Takeshita has no idea who we are.
No, of course not. It's it's going to be funny. We're going to be at a convention one day, and he's going to be like, "Well, ain't nothing between us but air and opportunity," and I'll be like, "Shit."
But he's going to say it in Japanese, so we're not going to understand it, and he's going to be like, and now it's just going to be looking at him like, "What? What? I heard you. I heard what you said," and he's going to look at you, and he's going to do the.
I would bust out laughing. That would be phenomenal.
Bro, I'm going to take, if it happens, I'm going to take every photo opportunity I can. I'm like, this is happening. This is what's happening. This is the best advertisement for this show ever.
But Hobbs and Takeshita. Oh my God. But Hobbs and Takeshita together, what's good about it is of course, it makes sense when Hobbs hits Takeshita for him to cartwheel through the air. But it also makes sense when Takeshita hits Hobbs for him to launch him because Takeshita is a damn tank. Powerhouse Hobbs is also a tank. He just looks more of a tank than Takeshita because Powerhouse Hobbs has like a big E or Brian Cage build.
Yeah.
Where Takeshita is just built like a big dude.
He's Bolo Young.
Yeah, he really is.
He's Bolo. He looks just like Bolo Young. So Takeshita ends up getting the pin on Mark Davis at the end of this match with after some miscommunication between the baby faces. There was some miscommunication between the ref too, because I don't actually know who was legal in this match at the end of it.
Everybody was. It was Rick Knox.
Everybody. Rick Knox said, "It's cool. I'm half dead anyway. I'm just gonna chill here." We get a, what do we call them now, Hound? The Mox World Riders.
Yeah, the Death World Order, the Mox Riders, something.
So we get a little promo vignette with this. I'm just gonna keep re-echoing this, and that is, I love Serious Claudio. He should be treated like a beast and a monster because he is. And him cutting the promo first half, not in English, and then just saying, "I'm going to end you." Like, yeah.
So you'll know precisely where I'm talking about with this. Now, I had mentioned when we were talking about William Regal in a previous episode, saying, go back to watch some of his promo work, specifically when he wrestled at the time known as Antonio Cesaro. I would say for that same thing, since before this in-ring promo that he did, the promo he cut about William Regal was his best, most menacing stuff. And it was right there with it to me. And like, I'm giving that high praise because, that's a big
point.
Yeah. It's like one of the important matches to me. So, and it's about damn time because Claudio Castagnoli, he could be a Bond villain, or he could be the bodyguard to a Bond villain, because if anybody doesn't know, he might be pound for pound the strongest human on the planet. He is a physical freak. Like when he was in WWE, people would say this all the time. He looks thin, but then he's got, Great Khali, and he's giant swinging him like he doesn't exist. Like he is a freak of nature, and he's so goddamn good at every part of pro wrestling. Like it's, oh my God, he's one of the best to ever do it, in my opinion.
One of the scariest things I ever heard Claudio ever say in any interview was when he was still Cesaro. They asked him what his personal record lift was. He goes, I don't know. And they go, what do you mean? He goes, I lift that week for whoever I'm supposed to swing.
Yeah.
And that means that, like, so the week of the week or the year that he was about, that he won the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, he carried the Big Show.
Yeah.
Halfway across the ring and dumped him out. That means that he was lifting for that. He was lifting for a 480 pounder.
Yeah. It's insane.
So that, again, that's one of those scary one of those scary lines that he has. This wasn't a bad vignette. Again, they're at least making Moxley look menacing. More than anything, I'm just happy that we're getting a Claudio as a threat to people now, because he should be. It goes right into, so Lashley and MVP and the Hurt Syndicate, I'm sorry, just name them as the group completely, are arriving to the building. They're announcing that they're going to have Lashley's debut match, and Swerve comes out and nails Lashley with a chain. It's kind of whatever. It's we get this Adam Cole baby in-ring promo. There's a lot of promos and stuff on this, which I understand. This is the go-home show before their pay-per-view. They kind of can't take a chance that someone's going to get hurt. So there's a lot of stuff like this going on. But there's an exchange between Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly. And Kyle's stuff is really confusing in the ring. Like, what he says in the promo, it's like, I can't tell if he likes Adam, if he respects him, if he thinks Undisputed Kingdom can or can't beat MJF. Like, it's very confusing how he bounces back and forth during the promo. And I know sometimes, like, that is the promo style that some of these workers are going for. I don't think that this was what this was. I think, or I don't think that's what this was. There we go. That's the word. Those were the words that I was looking to join in the sentence.
I see where you're going with that, and yeah, that's been a weak point for Kyle O'Reilly for the duration of his career. Now, I will say this to anybody who is maybe not familiar with Kyle O'Reilly. Kyle O'Reilly is a goddamn national treasure. Kyle O'Reilly is one of the funniest damn humans ever. And he is incredible in the ring. It's just sometimes he says words. And I go, okay.
You go sit down.
Yeah, sometimes it's
just
you
on the head and sit down.
I'll tell you when I need you to kick someone. You just sit there, sir. But yeah, it was one of those where if you were trying to build intrigue into the story, you didn't build intrigue, you build confusion. So it could have landed if it was someone other than Kyle O'Reilly. I'm sorry, Kyle O'Reilly. I think the world of you, but that was.
I just felt like that, like everything involving him and Adam Cole the last few weeks has landed a little flat.
Yeah, it really has. That, and we've seen it a billion times across 3 companies now. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's old. It's unfortunately it's less interesting. Kevin Steen, Owens, El Generico, Sami Zayn. Yeah,
and it really is. What is it? It's across Ring of Honor, NXT, and now AEW.
Yeah, and like I said, it's just not as interesting. We get actually a really good match. Chris Statlander versus Hikaru Shida. This is my main questioning here, and this is kind of why I stuck with my picks in our preview episode. Statlander has gone so far back to being a babyface. She's wearing her old like alien style gear again. But for real, like that, she's wearing like her neon colors and stuff. Like, I thought her heel gear was better. Like it was kind of jeans, but it wasn't jeans, and it gave her an edge. It looked different, even though it was what it was. Like, it was different than what other female wrestlers are wearing in that style. And it made her look tougher, to the level of toughness that she should be if she's challenging for this title, basically.
I'll take it a step further. Heel Chris Statlander is just better.
I absolutely think so.
It's and again, it's now, going back to this whole whatever the hell she is, alien from the black hole, and from where, I don't friggin' care, dude, where she's coming from. The alien gimmick is stupid.
And is she just back friends with Orange Cassidy now? Like, we've never established that. Like, she went from being a full-on heel to being a full babyface again, like with no explanation as to why.
I get old Looney Tunes vibes with Bugs Bunny going, I shouldn't have taken that left turn at Albuquerque, because somehow we ended up over here. And she took a left turn at Albuquerque, and nobody knows how the hell we got here.
None. Like I said, I'm not mad about this match. This match was good. This match was really good. They're both, as much as they're both baby faces, they're also both aggressive competitors, which gave me that vibe of 2 mixed martial arts fighters, 2 boxers who may like each other, but they also know that they're in the same division, and one of them standing in the way of the other.
Yeah, and I will say this, and I don't think she gets enough recognition, and I hope that AEW starts doing more with her. Hikaru Shida is so damn good. Like, she may not be the top of the bill, but I challenge you to find a bad match. I challenge you to find a bad one.
And she's different than a lot of the Japanese girls that they have come in. I hate. I don't want to echo other podcasts on this one, but unfortunately, Kenny Omega has been in charge of the women's division for a lot of AEW, and he's brought in these toy poodle looking Japanese girls. the Rihos, the chicks like that. And I hate to say it, but there is nothing intimidating about you when you're 72 pounds.
It's very
and
true.
I'm actually not even exaggerating. Riho is 4'2" and 3 pounds. Hornswoggle beats her. He's bigger than she is.
Rio is tiny.
But like Kenny Omega brought in a lot of these girls, and I get it. They wanted to showcase some of these Japanese talents. The issue is unfortunately there is a severe disconnect between the Japanese style of women's wrestling and the American style of women's wrestling. And I don't want to just make us all sound like ugly Americans, but a lot of this stuff doesn't hit right. Where Hikaru Shida, her stuff does hit right. I think she has a good look. She has the right size. She has the good build. She looks like an athlete. She has a good, strong, aggressive competition look. I like all of that. She's one of those ones I'm not mad about when they push her. Statlander, same thing. She has that look where overall she has a nice build about her. She hit Hikaru Shida with an inverted scoop slam during this match, which was awesome looking. The only thing I think is, I think Statlander needs to change her finisher. I think she needs to stop using the tombstone. When you've had 2 major knee surgeries, you should stop doing the tombstone.
Yeah, I think Statlander needs to change a lot. And that's part of it too, is I think creative doesn't have anything to do for her, and they pivoted back to face or whatever, like, because she's not even really a tweener. So
no, she's full baby face.
Yeah, and they did it with no explanation, no anything, and all of a sudden, okay, I'm back here, and I go back to the comfortability thing. I think that's why she ran back to the whole, I'm from Deep Space 12 or wherever the hell she's from.
Wherever she's from. The end of this, we get some schmaz with Mercedes Moné. This promo is terrible, by the way. Please keep a microphone out of her hand at this point. Like, this is actually bad. Like, just bad. Like, the fans aren't booing her because, like, she's insulting them. They're booing her because they don't want her there. Like, they don't want to see her get her ass kicked. They just don't want her there.
Yeah, she's got some go away heat, not go home heat. She's got go away heat right now.
Yeah. It ends with Statlander standing tall at the end of this. I'm not mad about that. I think going into the pay-per-view, that's how you should have it. I'm just a little confused. I don't know how we got here. Like, I know how we got here with her and Mercedes. I just don't know how we got here with Statlander. And I think she's too talented for them to fumble the ball on her.
Yeah, and the issue is, like we said in the preview, or in the preview episode, we believe that Mercedes Moné needs a title more than the title needs her. So I think Statlander is just in a weird situation right now where she's not going to be a viable challenger for a Mariah May. So what do? You're going to put her there with Mercedes, but even still, like, she just feels lost.
Yeah, I completely agree. Like, everything about, again, there seems to be some confusion at the very least in the mid-card area.
Yeah,
or
that's a good way
to
put it.
Yeah, or in the entire card area. So we get Bobby Lashley's debut. Bobby Lashley debuts. We have him in a handicap squash match. It's him versus 2 local competitors. Cheeseburger is one of them. Hound, I'm going to throw this one out to you. Would you have had Lashley debut 3 days before his pay-per-view match?
No, absolutely not.
And it seems like a waste, right? Like, this seems like a waste of.
I mean, if you were going to do that, and let's say they were going to even have him walk towards the ring like it was going to happen, What should have happened in that scenario is like Swerve should have hit the ring and just mollywop the two local talent and been like this. He's like, nah, we're gonna, and then they get pulled apart. So you don't see Lashley touch, at least in, that's how at least I think it should have gone. And then if you're going to do this right now, anybody who looks at Lashley knows he's a damn physical specimen. He's a freak of nature. I don't need to see him murder two guys who are not collectively the size of one of his legs.
And I'm not bashing these guys in the sense that, like, I know Cheeseburger has a lot of history. He was part of the training team with Ring of Honor. He's trained a lot of guys, but he's still the size of Lashley's toe. And like that's kind of where we're at with it. Is I just wouldn't have had him. I wouldn't have had him wrestle 3 days before the pay-per-view as his debut. All this does is add confusion on whether or not he's going to come out the other side of this pay-per-view the right way.
Yeah, it was just a waste. I mean, my thought behind this is honestly there was a miscalculation in booking in the back, and they were like, "Crap, we have to fill 4 more minutes. How can we do this? Okay, Lashley will look like a damn superhuman."
I mean, and that's what he did look like. It's just I wouldn't have had this match happen this close to the pay-per-view if I don't know. Again, this is just this is again our hard critique on AEW tends to be too much.
Yeah.
We get Darby Allin versus Claudio Castagnoli next. I actually like this match. I know we're not always the biggest fans of Darby, and I'm not. I know Darby isn't for everybody, but I will say this: between the way they present him and the way he even enters and his music, and I'm sure a lot of this is because he had Sting with him, and Sting had a hand in making sure he was doing at least this stuff right. I kind of like his. I don't just kind of. I really like his presentation, and I know we joke about, or I joke about the size of him and like Orange Cassidy going against the Mox World Order. At the same time, the way they do this, and kind of the way Darby does stuff, it makes his stuff feel more believable overall. He throws his body into it because that's what he has to do to fight this guy that's 250 pounds. And is he my favorite wrestler on God's green earth? No, he's not. But I kind of get it, at least. And this match was a lot better than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, I see what you're saying there. And you're 100% right. Darby does, because they bill him constantly as somebody who has to go against a Brody King, things like that. So he has to throw caution to the wind, and he has to risk his well-being just to potentially damage somebody. Yeah, the match was good. You've got two very good professionals in there with each other. Darby is a very, very good worker. He's just, his style's not my thing, and I'm just kind of over the whole Darby thing. And there's not a time when I don't want to watch Claudio.
That's what I'm saying. And I feel like, so Claudio is a prime example of this. Darby's match with CM Punk is a prime example of this. I feel like when he gets in there with some of those type of guys that can reel him in a little bit, so to speak, he puts on really good matches. And Claudio ends up winning this. He looks like a monster. He hits him with this devastating lariat and just mushes him with it. Like it's Darby hits the flipping bump and just crumbles, and I am all for it. Like, hell yes, let's do it this way.
So when that happened, I didn't so much think he hit Darby with a lariat. I think he hit Darby with the ground. Like, he hit him that hard that he hit him with the ground. Like, I know he swung Darby into a building. No, he hit Darby with a building. Like,
he hit Darby with a building.
He hit Darby with the earth right there is what happened.
Yeah, like, hey, I'm going to hit you so hard that you go up so high that you are now going to be hit with the ground.
Yeah, it was a tag team finishing move. It was, Claudio hits him and then the ground finished him.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Again, we get a lot of promos and vignettes in this, which leads to the contract signing between Jericho and Ishii. Sorry. This whole thing is more chaos and just more overbooking for this company. And Ring of Honor, which used to pride itself on being the young man's title, hey, we have the best wrestlers and they're the best young wrestlers, has somehow become the geriatric title. Like, this isn't PCO at 50 years old winning the title for a few months because that's a nice feel-good story. These two guys are old.
I think we've said enough about Jericho and Ishii on this. And that's why I said, like, I wasn't mad that Mark Briscoe lost the Ring of Honor title. I was mad that he lost it to Jericho.
I know there's rumors that, like, they do actually have some type of television deal in the works for Ring of Honor, which is good. I hope they get real television going soon.
Yeah.
This seems very much like Jericho, like, kind of hooking himself into this and being like, hey, it would be great if I'm the face of your new television show.
You're probably really not wrong in the slightest, and I don't like it.
I don't want to hate Chris Jericho. I don't. And the way they're presenting him, again, one of Chris Jericho's best qualities was that he was able to go away. Mm-hmm. And when he came back, you loved him even more than when he left because he was gone. So, oh my God, he's been gone. I haven't seen him in 3 or 4 months. And then he'd come back after a tour with Fozzy, and maybe he had Justin Timberlake, boy band hair, whatever. But we were still so happy to see him. And then he'd switch up his character, and he did the Hannibal Lecter looking thing. And he was the best in the world at what he did. And he had that amazing feud with Shawn Michaels. And then he'd go away again, and he'd come back, and he'd do the list. And his ability to reinvent is very good. It's just he hasn't gone away in long enough.
So you're talking about him reinventing, and this is an obscure one, and I think you might be one of about 6 people who remember this right now. Do you remember when he came back and he would go to cut a promo and he would get emotional and not say anything and leave the ring?
Yes.
That was the greatest reinvention of Jericho ever, and I just got a remembering of all that for like a month. He'd walk in the ring, stare at the crowd, and leave without saying a word.
Yeah, and that was where he started bringing back the light up jackets.
It was so good.
That was the first time he was using the light up jackets. I think it went right from that to like the list.
Yeah. Although the list is one of the greatest things ever.
You just made the list.
But he said, God, it was something about a valet, like stupid valet's hat. You just made the list.
Or no, the one he hits AJ Styles with. Oh, and you're sitting over there with your stupid soccer mom haircut. You know what? Stupid soccer mom haircut. You just made the list.
So I will be watching.
That's the thing. I don't want to not like Jericho, and because he won't go away, they're making me not like him.
Oh my God. I will be watching a funniest The List moments as I'm going to sleep tonight.
Yes, you're welcome. You're welcome. All right, let's move on. We get the main event, and it's Orange Cassidy versus Wheeler Yuta. The match just felt very choreographed. It wasn't necessarily bad, but like I kind of wish these guys actually went out there and just wrestled.
Yeah, I've often said that somebody like a Jake Roberts, he would always say there was a reason why I turned my head this way, why I did this with my hands. Like any movement, anything I did had meaning, but that worked for Jake Roberts. And it's like they tried to make every second of this match have that, whatever that is, they tried to make it have that. And I'm sorry, I know Orange Cassidy's not your thing. Dude's pretty damn good. He's not the best in the world, but he's pretty damn good. And Wheeler Yuta is phenomenal.
I told you, I don't give as much hatred to Orange Cassidy anymore.
Well, it's
I've moved my hatred
to Schiavone.
to Tony Schiavone because he's the worst. I no longer hate Orange Cassidy anymore. And you know what? I don't think I hated him to begin with. I think originally I didn't care about him, and I just needed a place for my anger, and now it's found its place. Oh, Tony S. Whew.
Yeah, see.
I haven't brought you up today, and Hound let me bring it in. Thank you, Hound.
Look, listen.
He might be fighting Takeshita. Tony Schiavone. I will fight you for the Ring of Honor title because we're almost old enough.
Oh my God. Just had a vision. He beating up Tony Schiavone. So maybe just stop. He's already dead.
Yeah, so there's a half dead fat guy and a dead fat guy in my room. Oh, we're just letting this happen, huh?
Oh my gosh. Oh, good Lord.
So should we talk about this match?
Look, man, it did what it needed to do. It pushed the story forward, but like I said, I think they tried too much of every single thing had major dire consequences in how long I held a headlock. Like it didn't resonate for me.
Well, even more than so, I'm gonna bring it up a little bit ways. Not even just the Jake Roberts idea of this. I felt like they thought this match was gonna be Rock Hogan, like they were gonna stand in the middle of the ring and look side to side, and everyone's gonna be all into this. And I don't know if any again, the stuff with the Mox World Riders, I don't know if it's hitting yet. And again, I want to let it cook, man. I do. I think whatever they're cooking is giving. So you know what's funny is someone else made the cooking reference about it. I heard that today. Someone else was like, everything about what they're doing with Moxley and AEW in general is it's chili or gumbo. Like they're just throwing everything in there right now, and it's like we have no distinction on stuff.
They're lost, and I mean, I don't know how else to say it other than the company themselves. They are lost. They don't have an identity, and that's the problem. I think AEW still has it in their head that they're somehow going to take the top spot from WWE. No one competes with WWE except WWE. If AEW just recognize that they're actually, it is comparing apples and a brick at that point. Just do your thing and find your identity. I think AEW would do fine. And that's the thing. It's, I don't know what they want to. I know what they want to be. They wanted to be professional indie. It doesn't work.
It doesn't work. Professional indie doesn't work. The reason why indie works is because it's indie. You see these people once a month or once every 3 months sometimes. And that's why you can throw everything in the world that you know.
Yeah.
But you can't do that on a weekly television product, man. You just can't. And I don't know. It's so Showtime said this once before he stopped covering AEW with me. And the line was, so the catchphrase for AEW is AEW where the best wrestle. And Showtime's joke was AEW where the best all wrestle the same match.
Yeah, he's not wrong. And that's why I'm really hopeful. And you've been the one who said it, with the whole Hurt Syndicate thing. It's like, okay, the adults are here now. And the thing is Moxley's crew should give off that, okay, the adults are here now kind of thing. And they don't. Claudio does.
Claudio does. Absolutely. I don't know if Moxley does, though.
He doesn't, though. Moxley, I'm sorry. While he looks menacing and he's got the grovelly voice and he's not afraid to bleed and yada, yada, yada. And
he does death jitsu.
Yeah, and his death jitsu. Unless he's in a Walmart. Good Lord.
Guy. That Walmart guy.
Friggin' Walmart guy. And You know what I'm saying here.
Yeah, it just doesn't. Again, a lot of their stuff just falls flat, and I don't want to bash their stuff all the time. It's just, and again, Legion, if you are AEW fans, please comment. Let me know why we're wrong. Like, and don't just tell me you're wrong, because I hate to say it, but that's what I get from AEW fans a lot of times is, well, you're wrong. No, let me know what you like about it. Like, I want to know what you're really liking. Like, if one of these matches that we just reviewed, sake of argument, like, you really think Bobby Lashley should have debuted that night, like, let me know why, because this didn't do anything for Lashley as far as I'm concerned. If you really love the stuff with Jericho and Ishii, I know I don't, but tell me why you do. Like, because I want to know. Like, comment on our videos, on our stuff. Please let us know, like, on our social media. Let us know why you guys like it and why maybe we should be looking at it differently, because I will. I promise you, I will try to go at this with an open mind. But as of right now, it's hard for me to like some of this stuff. Again, you know what would be great for AEW right now, because no one else would be doing it? A good old bump and feed fire up. I'm just saying, no one else is doing it. You would absolutely stand out at this point. Instead, I got Wheeler Yuta hitting Orange Cassidy with a brainbuster on the guardrail. And the fans not caring.
Honestly, you want to know what AEW could do right now, and it would get the fans there? And have an actual, like, entire show where less was more.
Just have good old fashioned normal wrestling. Wrestling. Just like, I've said this for the entirety of the time that we've been doing this show. The all 50 episodes, all however many extra videos you want to talk about, extra episodes, bonus content. AEW's best bet, if they wanted me to believe they wanted to be a sports-based wrestling promotion and get the athleticism out there, would be to base a lot of their product and their storylines and the way they do things off of 1985 to 1988 NWA.
Yep. I see where you're going.
It's I know a lot of people are gonna say, like, let's a lot of older generation are gonna lean a little bit more towards the Mid-South stuff, the Bill Watts stuff. I don't think that's what they need, because even that is a little bit too rough and tumble for what I think they should be doing. I don't get me wrong, I love Mid-South Hacksaw Jim Duggan, I love Mid-South Junkyard Dog, but a lot of that was a little bit too rough and tumble. I think if you're looking at the groups like the Rock and Roll Expresses, you're looking at the Midnight Expresses, you're looking at Sting just coming in, you're looking at the early formation of the Steiner brothers, the stuff like that, the Flairs, the Arn Andersons, the origins of the Four Horsemen. It gives you a nice basis to jump off of, as far as, here's our platform that we're going with. Now, how can we tweak it just this much so that it's not exactly stealing it, but it's also been almost 40 years since they were doing this stuff? It'll be new again.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. It just less is more, and they need to. Tony Khan needs to disconnect from, like, TikTok and all that stuff, and he needs to not have that constant hit to his brain going on like that. And that's really what it is. I think it's just a lack of an attention span, and I think that's all you're seeing there at this point. And I think Moxley has gotten swept up into it, and I think Claudio is the only thing keeping that from sweeping it away.
Even Pac, I don't, he doesn't do anything with it.
Yeah.
I actually don't understand why Pac's always in his wrestling gear. He's always in his wrestling gear.
It's like Tim Sylvia.
Everyone else is wearing jeans and t-shirts, and Pac is out there in his wrestling gear. I'm like, have you noticed that?
Now that you say it, yes.
He's never not in his wrestling gear. I'm like, he's not even wrestling tonight.
Oh my gosh. This is not a pro wrestling reference, but you'll get it. He's Tim Sylvia wearing the belt at all times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's like. So this is an old reference for D Unit. If you are listening to us right now, we used to make this reference all the time. There's an old run-in from Ahmed Johnson where he's running to the ring and he's in his ring gear, but he's got like a neon yellow hat and just like a random t-shirt on. And they're like, oh my God, he's in his street clothes. No, he's not.
Maybe
he's not.
Maybe he was.
Yeah, that's, you know, when it was the early 90s, that actually might have been what he wore normally. There was some weird stuff going on.
That might have been the new hotness on the street right there.
That's the hot stuff. for the worker who eventually became Big T. Oh, Jesus Christ. All right, guys. But this has been our 50th episode. We appreciate you sticking through with us. I know me and Hound get the giggles sometimes, and we love to make jokes. We love doing this. And like I said, Legion, like, subscribe, follow, comment. Let us know what the hell's going on with what we're doing, what you like that we're doing, and what you don't like, because maybe we are doing something or we're commenting on things that we don't see because we do it every week and no one points it out to us. And at the same time, if we're doing something that you guys absolutely love, point that out to us too, because we'll do it more. Trust me, I have no problem with pandering to my audience. None whatsoever.
Shameless. I love it.
Shamelessly, I will do it. But again, for anyone who has been involved with the show, anyone from the Legion who follows our show, anyone who has been on our show, any interview that we've done, everywhere from Kakoa to Big AJ, thank you, guys. We wouldn't be able to be doing this as long as we have if people weren't at least listening sometimes or watching us sometimes. So thank you so much. Hound, as always, I love that you're on the show now. We have a great dynamic between you, me, and Showtime at this point. My favorite episodes now are our preview and our review episodes. Just remember, we have new and different ideas all the time. They're never new and different ideas. But Hound, why don't you send the people off?
Folks, thank you so much for being a part of the Legion. Thank you for coming along, whether this is episode 1 for you or episode 50 for you or 50 plus with all of the bonuses. We appreciate you more than you know. Thank you for listening to us essentially show everybody why we're friends. We appreciate you. And like I always say, thank you for giving us your single most precious resource, your time. God bless and enjoy Thanksgiving.
And as always, folks, please remember, tuck your chin when you bump.